everybody, this is Miss K and welcome to Miss K Gone Postal. So I wanted to discuss with my postal freaks about filing an EEO, and that's Equal Employment Opportunity. So the post office, being a federal workplace, is not supposed to discriminate for race, gender, sex, if you're retarded, not retarded, if you got one leg longer than the other, one foot shorter than the other one. There's no discrimination of any kind that's supposed to go on within the Postal Service or in the federal agencies altogether. So we're going to discuss how to file an EEO claim or to file a charge against either an employee at the post office or if it is in management. Now listen, please do not drop in the comment sections that you want to file an EEO because this stupid ass girl keep looking at you out the corner of her goddamn eye. That is not a fucking reason to file an EEO, okay? I need you to file an EEO for some serious shit. Not for some frivolous ass shit because the girl probably cockeyed and she just looked at you with her bad eye, okay? Leave it alone. Now, when you file an EEO, it's usually because you've exhausted every effort that you have tried to make a situation work. Now, the way it's supposed to work is, let's say you feel you're being sexually discriminated against. Maybe you applied for a position as a 204B or for whatever else, and you feel that people who have been hired or have been put in that position have all been men, and you're a woman, and you're a black woman, or you're a Latina woman, or you're an Asian woman, and they keep putting a white man in that position. At that point, you can file an EEO in regards to the fact that, hey, I think I'm being discriminated against because I'm a woman and I am not a white man and I'm not getting this position. That is a very good example of filing an EEO, because what happens is you will file the EEO and the EEO is done online through Light Blue. In the past, the EEOs were a number you called. It was a 1-800-188 number you called, and you would give the information, someone would contact you back, and then they would go from there. Now all EEOs are done online through Light Blue. You go on your regular Light Blue and there should be a tab for EEO, and you actually click on it and you file the claim. Now, when you file an EEO claim for sexual discrimination, for sexual harassment, okay, if you think your workplace is unfair or whatever, because things have been going on and you've been trying to address them with management about maybe a coworker being toxic and making that particular environment toxic, and they're actually berating you and belittling you, and they're not handling it properly, you can file an EEO in regards to that, okay? Once you go online and file your EEO through Light Blue, that information is between you and them. That information, the union doesn't have it. We don't have any of that information. We are not privy to it. We don't know what you put in that claim. We don't know nothing. What happens is a mediator thus contacts you directly. They do not contact the union. We don't know anything about it. They contact you, usually through email. Sometimes they will call you, but they will communicate with you via email. And then in turn, they will determine if the situation needs to have mediation or what needs to occur in regards to that. And that's discussed with you. Now, they do get in contact with management. So upper management, even the plant manager, will know of what's going on with that. Now, don't be afraid because you think because that person is handling your accusation in regards to whatever, if it's discrimination against sexual discrimination or racial discrimination, that you feel you're going to be retaliated against. No, you're not. And you cannot be. They cannot retaliate against you because you file an EEO. Now, I know a lot of people feel, and they haven't filed EEOs because they feel like, oh, that particular supervisor or that particular person will know that I filed that EEO and they're going to come after me. That's a no-go, okay? That's not going to fucking happen. Now, they might say some slick ass shit, which they shouldn't, but that will happen. But them retaliating against you, that cannot happen because this is handled from people from outside of your particular facility. They have no affiliation with that facility. They don't work at that facility. They don't give a shit what's going on in that facility. They're there to get the information and to have conversation with you or whoever you're accusing, and to speak with the plant manager. Now, depending on the seriousness of what's going on with your claim, that particular person will contact you for mediation. If they contact you for mediation, that means you will have a meeting. And sometimes it's with your accuser, and it's the mediator for the EEO, and it's also the plant manager. They will be in this meeting, and whatever you filed your claim against and whatever's going on is discussed in that room. No one outside that room knows what's going on. Now, I will tell you this. You do not have to have a shop steward present in an EEO. It is not a necessity. You do not need to request one. We do not need to be there. Now, I will tell you this. If you want a union rep in your EEO, if you have a mediation, you can do that. Now, I suggest if you do that, get a shop steward who has experience being in EEOs. Me personally, I have not sat in an EEO. I've never had to be in one. Now, I have had another shop steward who was senior to me. She has been in many EEO mediations, and she knows how to handle those. So if it was to go down and someone needed one, I would send her in there automatically. I wouldn't even go because I've never been in one. But if you wish to have someone from the union involved in your EEO, then you can request someone, but I suggest that you request someone who is versed at sitting in an EEO mediation. If they're not, baby, don't let them come in there. Don't do that. Don't play yourself for a fool, okay? Now, I want to backtrack a minute. So you trying to figure out, well, how the hell did I get to the EEO? What steps, what situations happened that led me to this point? Now, let's say you feel a supervisor has been bullying you. They've been toxic, they've been berating you, down talking you, and they've just been, making your life a living hell. So you went above that supervisor to the MDO and say, hey, listen, this particular supervisor is doing X, Y, Z. I don't understand the problem. I'm trying to do my job, and they're bothering me. Okay. The MDO at that point is supposed to take your concern seriously and address it with that supervisor. Bullshit. They're probably not. They're going to sweep it under the fucking rug, right? Okay. So this particular behavior keeps happening over and over, and it's getting really out of hand to the point where you can barely work. And so you decided to take another step further. You go and speak to your shop steward, okay? Because remember, any situations, regardless of what happens, pay, discipline, whatever, especially with pay and especially with any type of harassment, go to management first, then come see us. Then you go see your shop steward and say, hey, listen, this supervisor is giving me fucking grief. I'm tired of this motherfucker. They're getting on my nerves. And they're saying things to me, just lewd things, and they're being disrespectful and cursing at me. I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. At that point, your shop steward will do one or two things. Will turn around and try to have a mediation meeting with that supervisor or speak to that supervisor on their own, or go to the MDO. Some cases, it works. It really don't work in some cases because they're going to continue doing the same shit because they feel that they're your superior. They can do what the fuck they want. And we're just all mouth at this point. We can't do anything but just have a conversation. Once I have the conversation and they say, oh, I'm not going to do it anymore, and I turn around and a week later you come back to me and tell me the same fucker doing the same thing, it's useless. At that point, your shop steward should automatically have told you, I need you to file an EEO. If they think it's a good EEO case. Like I said, I don't want to hear no frivolous shit because the cockeyed girl was looking at you across the room. That is not an EEO, okay? Because the supervisor said he didn't like your shoes. That is not a fucking EEO. That is not legit. Legit is someone sexually harassing you, supervisor or an employee. You know what I'm saying? You're being discriminated against because you're trying to get a position, because you're a woman, because you're a man, because you're a black man, because you're an Asian man. It could be anything. That form of discrimination, sexual discrimination, racial discrimination, those things that are considered heinous. Listen, even at some places, and I'm just saying, I ain't trying to put people business out there, but there have been cases where people have been, I don't want to say molested, but almost nearly molested or ran up on in a sexual manner, and management hasn't addressed it with either the supervisor who's doing it, and I'm talking the truth, or with an employee. At that point, you need to file an EEO. Also, this is coming from me. If it gets to that point where it's that serious, baby, I need you to file a police report. Don't fucking wait for the EEO. Don't even fucking wait for your union. If it's getting serious like that, where this person is like stalking you, I need you to file a police report and also file an EEO. Because sometimes management has a tendency to just go, oh, it'll end on its own, and they think shit is cute. It's not. It's not fucking cute. Okay? If you are being harassed in that manner, if it's stalking, if it's sexual in that nature, I need you to handle your business. And I need you to file a police report. And then I need you to file an EEO. Okay? Now, normally, if it's something to that extent, they're supposed to be at your facility. There's supposed to be an MDO or someone in management that is supposed to handle those particular types of cases. Now, because at most plants or stations, they didn't have someone or that person wasn't handling it properly, they submitted everything else out, and that's why they put the EEO online. And that person no longer was handling that. That was the person who was a zero tolerance manager. They may call them something else at your facility, but that particular person, usually an MDO on that particular tour, or another MDO, or maybe even a supervisor, would handle those particular cases. And thus, in turn, kind of would try to nip it in the bud before it got to an EEO. But a lot of cases, they weren't handling them properly, and they dissolved that. So they're not handling that anymore. Maybe at your facility, they're still doing that. I know at mine, we don't. And at other ones, they don't either. They don't have that particular representative. So you will file that EEO, okay? Remember, when you file the EEO, it's going to ask you questions. You're going to create a login. You're going to register yourself, and it's going to ask you questions about the incident, if you have dates, times, places, if you have that information, what's going on. You're going to fill all of that out. Now, listen, I'm even telling you to file this EEO if you are not getting the type of assistance that you need. Let's say you got hurt on the job. Let's say you've gone to your supervisor and said, hey, I got hurt. I need to file my CA-17 or whatever, my OWCP, and they're pussyfooting around and not assisting you. Or they're giving you the wrong paperwork. Or they're just flat out not helping you. And you've tried to go to many different routes, even to your union, and no one is helping you and you need this assistance. File your EEO. Don't play games. Remember what I told y'all. You don't play with my money. Don't let nobody fucking play with your money, especially if you get hurt on the job. And especially if they're not assisting you in trying to get the assistance that you need. File an EEO, because what's going to happen is they're going to thus in turn contact that particular facility and be like, what the hell is going on? Trust me, I'm going to tell you like this. The people who do EEOs, they're very efficient and they're on their shit. And they've done this for a very long time. So sometimes just a phone call will make shit get rolling, okay? Now, if it is racial discrimination, sexual discrimination, if you're being stalked, if you feel someone is being overly sexual to you or whatever. And let me just state this. When I mean overly sexual, I don't mean you just keep kicking with somebody. I mean like they're saying things to you that you have not invited them to say or corresponded for them to say, or they're, coming near you closely, touching you inappropriately, those things of that nature. If management is not handling that properly and you've already spoken to them about it and nothing has gone on, I need you to file an EEO, okay? Remember, if it's sexual discrimination, racial discrimination, if you're being stalked or someone's being inappropriate, I mean very inappropriate, make sure you file an EEO. They will give you a number. They have like a little claim number. That is your number. Only you have that number. No one else will have that number. Union doesn't have that number. That is the number they give you when you file your EEO, and that's how you follow your claim, okay? And normally what happens is they're going to investigate. So they're going to do investigation behind the scenes that you won't even see happen. So they'll contact the plant manager, they'll contact this person, or contact that person. Let me say it like this. If there are things happening to you or you feel there's some type of discrimination, if I was you, make sure you write some of this shit down. Write it down. Keep a record of it. Even so when you have and make your claim and you file it, if you go to your mediation, you can go and pull it out and say, on this day, this motherfucker did this. And on this day, this motherfucker did that. Because of course, when you go into the mediation, that fucker gonna lie. And if you can get corroborating statements, get them. And I know the post office, you postal employees, some of my postal freaks, y'all don't like getting involved. Oh, I don't want to get involved in that. No, I saw it, but I don't want to get involved. Stop being like that. Stop being like that. Y'all complain about these crazy motherfuckers, employees and fucking damn management who do shit and get away with it. But when it's time to get their asses in line, you don't want to fucking help a bitch out. Y'all need to stop all that. Stop it. If someone needs assistance, if someone is getting harassed or they're being bullied and management's not doing something about it, and that person wants to file an EEO and says, hey, I need you to write a statement for me. Help me out. Do that. Don't be a dick, bro. Like, don't be a dick. So remember, if you're going to file an EEO, go through the process first. Speak to management in regards to whatever's going on. If they're not addressing it properly or in a timely manner, then you go online to Light Blue and hit that EEO button and file that claim. Okay? And remember, you do not have to tell your union representative that you filed an EEO. If you want them to know that you did, then you should. Oh, and I forgot. One side note. If before you file your EEO, I'm going to tell you this, and things are going on and you want a statement on file, and I tell people this all the time, write a statement. Just handwrite a statement and give it to your shop steward. And tell your shop steward, I want you to put this in my file about whatever that situation is that's going on. Because that is a written record, documentation in your folder saying, hey, these things were happening and I went to management and they did nothing. And I'm filing the EEO. You just handwrite it. All they're going to do is stick it in your folder. So if something happens and let's say they want documentation or they want to know that you let management know, you go back to your union steward and say, hey, remember that paper I gave you? That statement I wrote for you? Can I get a copy of that? Can I get that out my folder? Remember, there are things in your folder. That's your folder. Whatever the union keeps on you in that folder, whatever you give us, FMLA, whatever you give us, that's your folder. You can come back and say, hey, I need to see XYZ out my folder. Can I get a copy of it? And you can use that in your EEO. Didn't know that, huh? Now you know. Knowing is half the motherfucking battle. G.I. Joe. Anyway, so listen. You can write a statement, give it to your shop steward, stick it in your folder. So when the time comes and some shit jumps off, you can say, hey, look, I fucking told y'all. This was going on over here. This was going over there. I told you guys you didn't want to address it. I gave it to my shop steward. I gave it to my union rep, and there's a record of it. Now I filed the EEO, and now this information is going to go to that EEO. Y'all figure that out. Because remember, always be 10 steps ahead of management because they're going to play dumb. Oh, we didn't know. Yeah, of course you didn't. I've been to you 5 goddamn times and you didn't know. You didn't know, right? Okay. Okay, you didn't know. Always be 10 steps ahead of management. Make documentation. If you think that you're unfairly getting passed over because of your race or because of your sex, document that shit. Be like, this person, blah, 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 became 204B. I applied for it, blah, 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 and they didn't give it to me, and they went to this person. I applied again, whatever. Make your case. Make your case. So when you file your EEO, they can go, well, this, and this happens. And then they're going to go to management and go, well, this happened. What happened? And what happens normally, after you have mediation, sometimes you may not have mediation. They may go ahead and provide a remedy. That's what they call a remedy, which is a solution for what's going on. If they provide a remedy, either you have mediation. If you're having mediation, the remedy is provided in the mediation. They do it right then and there. Or if there is no mediation and they overlook the whole case and have conversations with you and management, they may provide a remedy. So if they provide a remedy and they say, well, we don't see nothing going on here, we're closing it. That can happen. You can always appeal it or you can refile the EEO, okay? But if they provide a remedy and they put it in writing, management has to abide by it. And trust me, they have to abide by it. And it's given to the plant manager. They have to sign off on it. So it's not like they don't know what the remedy is. Oh, they gonna know because they're gonna tell them. So let's say somebody is being sexually harassed and you filed an EEO, they had mediation and there was documentation and then they found out that other people or you got statements from other people saying that this particular person was harassing other people, they will provide a remedy to management. Then management has to go ahead and put that remedy into place, whatever that may be, okay? So don't be afraid to file an EEO. It is your right as an employee, wherever you work, but especially for the feds because we're equal opportunity and we do not discriminate against anyone for anything. If you feel that you have no other recourse and you've tried everything and the situation is getting too serious, make sure you file an EEO. If necessary, if you got to file a police report, you do that so you can have a written record. Make sure you write a statement and give it to your shop steward so they can put it in your folder to have. So if shit hits the fan and let's say something just jumps off one day and they go, well, what is this? We didn't know about it. You can go, yes, you did. I have my statement here. My shop steward has it. Because that's going to help you if they try to give you discipline for something that you've been speaking to them about. Okay? So remember, always make sure and always know you always have other routes and other ways to address situations. You have the right as an employee to file an EEO. And you have a right as an employee to let management know if you are being discriminated against, if you're being harassed, if you're being sexually harassed, whatever it is. But please, do not file no damn EEOs because that cockeyed girl from the flat sorter was looking at you crazy. You address that shit after work, all right? All right. So remember, as always, my postal freaks, love and light. Peace.